Hi, Mischa here with The Right Stuff. WRITE. What does that mean? Well, I believe that to be a good citizen of the country and of the world, you have to know something, you have to educate yourself. And one of the very, very best ways to do that is to read fiction. The additional feature that fiction has for us that regular history usually doesn't is it creates tremendous empathy. Because you put your feet in the shoes of other people and your eyes are open to what they go through and you change your mind. It's always a good thing to keep your mind open enough to change. Okay, so right now, I think a really, really good book to read to understand the situation we are in right now and to apply this book to our lives to be better citizens and conscious of the decisions that we're making rather than just avoiding making decisions is this one. The Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. Now, how come? I'll tell you why. Because that book, The Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, it was written in the mid-1800s. However, it is about the French Revolution. And in the French Revolution, the upper classes basically starved the citizenry. They abused them. They gave them no justice. In the end, the king panicked so much he brought in foreign troops. What about that? He brought in his own troops. All of this together, of course, finally culminated and bubbled over into a revolution that was quite bloody. Now, I am a history buff, so I'll read books like this one, right? This baby right there. I'll read books like this one, Rousseau and the Revolution by the unbelievable Durrance. And this is a great book for like finding things, finding facts and stuff that you have forgotten. But if you want a picture in your head of the French Revolution and what it means to you today, this is what you want. Because it's a story. And people don't forget a good story. So let me tell you how this book affected my life. I was a kid, and it was right after the Cuban Missile Crisis. So we were very, very afraid of the Russians, and we thought we were going to get bombed, and we were doing the deck and cover stuff. And at the time, I had bright red hair, and I was told repeatedly that the communists would point to me and say, "You have red hair, we're going to shoot you." Stuff like that. Okay. So this is the mindset. In come my aunt and uncle, my great aunt Flo and my great uncle Louis, who were very middle of the road people, not particularly political in any way. And as I said, the Cuban Missile Crisis had just passed, so people were still freaked out. And they told us a story about how they had visited Cuba. They had been to Havana for a vacation right before the revolution. Now, the revolution was, I think, 53, so maybe they were there in 51, something like that. And my Aunt Flo in particular said it was so bad. The level of poverty and hunger and the disdain and abuse that the Cuban people had to deal with on the part of the moneyed classes was a ticking time bomb. I mean, she said, you could see it. People could not put up with this much longer. Something was going to blow. So when the revolution occurred, we weren't surprised at all. Okay, that made a big impression on me because this was not what you were hearing, in the news. And I said, really? Okay, well, tell me, what did you see? What did you see? Because I'm living in Happy Valley, right? And she said, if you really want to know what the feel of that was like, read The Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. And then she told me the scenes that came flooding into her mind when she was in Havana. So let me tell you. In The Tale of Two Cities, there's a scene in Paris, and this is before the revolution occurs, right? where a nobleman is named Evremond is going down the street with his very fancy carriage and expensive horses very fast, and he runs over a child and kills the kid. He gets out of his carriage, berates all of these people, especially the parents. You're crappy parents, and if you let your kids get killed, why don't you control your kids? And if my horses are hurt, you're in trouble. And off he goes. In that group of people is Madame Defarge. Later on in the story, the revolution is in full sway. They're chopping heads off of all these noblemen with a guillotine. And Madame Defarge is sitting she's got her place to sit near the guillotine. And while the heads roll, she knits and she watches. Now, Madame Defarge was a product of that society that was so abusive that it basically turned her heart to stone. And believe me, that can happen. I'll never forget meeting a man who had survived the German concentration camps during World War II. And he said to me, "If you licked my heart, it would poison you." I get choked up when I think of it. In any case, this book right here, The Tale of Two Cities, will put you in that revolution, and you won't forget it. You won't forget it. It's a good story. And I'll tell you something else. There's a reason why a billionaire very recently, talking to other billionaires who are very aware of what they are doing and how they have stolen our country and our happiness from us. What did this guy say to his fellow billionaires? We better start backing off a little bit on this stuff because they're coming with the pitchforks if we don't. Listen for that expression. Any reference to coming with the pitchforks? That's about the French Revolution. And I got to tell you, there's nothing more dangerous than people with nothing left to lose. So, I'll see you later with another book. Read fiction and learn about yourself and who you want to be in the world too.